Now, for my little reflection today, something that probably is quite obvious to a lot of folks, and that is the idea that our dress, the way we present, how we adorn ourselves, our hairstyles, and so on, seems almost to become like a second skin in terms of the consciousness of identity that we express and feel. Um, it it was something that I was reflecting on when I was reviewing a video, uploading a video recently of a trip I made to Cindy's at Boys Will Be Girls in London, and I was reflecting on what I was feeling, as I often do in little videos. Often don't get published, but I tend to like to do that for myself. And expressing what was really authentically coming through at the time. And it struck me that my actual physical awareness when I was making the video of what I was wearing and how I was presenting and how I was looking, as it were, to another person, um, wasn't obvious to me. It wouldn't be obvious to me. I wasn't looking at a mirror, for example. Don't do that very often. There's relatively little in terms of the cues or clues that you'd pick up from the touch of clothes. Certainly a little bit of an awareness around the shaping um, and perhaps the texture and so on, and the flow of the hair. Very subtle, um, but nonetheless adding up to something that was really a very comforting feeling. So I find it quite intriguing how this happens, this um, almost subconscious way that we become aware of our identity through what we are wearing, even though perhaps the clothes and so on intrinsically don't necessarily have anything, um, as I say, intrinsically masculine or feminine about them, apart from their cut and their association, their social association. And indeed, I was reflecting recently that perhaps back in the 80s, when fashions were different, for example, I would have experienced this kind of feeling. I would have been sitting um, on Cindy's couch having this sort of feeling, wearing clothes that were appropriate for that time, that were fashionable perhaps, or felt comfortable for that time. Whereas perhaps now, if I'm wearing, let's say, clothes that were fashionable back in the 1950s, I perhaps would feel a little bit incongruent. I know some people do enjoy that and get strong feeling from that, but I don't think it really works for me. I've not tried it very often. I have actually gone back to the Regency period at one time, but that was altogether a different experiment. So a little bit of a rambling. This curiosity around this kind of second skin that we are subtly aware of, I think, but how powerful it is in giving the feeling of being in a almost like an extended body. And perhaps that's why for cross-dressers to take on, as it were, a second skin in the form of clothing and adornments plays such an important part in how we express ourselves. And here's another Claire look, feeling very casual, very relaxed, very comfortable, very in the groove as Claire, really feeling very content.